Hello, Salt Strong Nation. Joe Simons, Luke Diamonds. Luke
And Luke
Simons, what's up,
Simons.
dude?
Much.
Talking about the 90-10 zone. If you don't know, you don't know. The 90-10 zone is that 90% of the feeding fish can be found in 10% of any area at any given time. We've proven this over and over again with drone evidence, done it on the water evidence. It's amazing and really fascinating how that works. And that doesn't mean there's not going to be scattered fish. We're talking about if you take a drone up in any area, so the area that you can see in the screen is 100%, and then you start really dissecting that area. This is spooky, by the way. You will see that like 90% of the schools of fish where there's actually real predator fish and bait fish around are in about 10% of the area. So the question always comes up, right, Luke? Cool. That's awesome. How do I find that zone? How do I find that area, that 90-10 zone? What's the easiest way to do it? I think one of the biggest mistakes that us anglers make, we made this for many, many years, is we keep going back to the same old spots that might have worked at one day in time, right? We're still guilty of it to this day. I even know fishing guys have told me they're guilty of it. They'll go back to the spot that produced yesterday, the day before, not putting in the homework in, like, oh yeah, the fish move, because fish do have tails and no fences. They do move, aka that 90-10 zone is moving. It's never just one spot. So I think so many anglers make that mistake of saying, oh, cool, I found the 90-10 zone. I'm set for life. I'm just going to keep fishing the same spot or these same 3 or 4 spots. And that usually leads to frustration. So we wanted to put this little presentation slash podcast slash video together, or depending on where you're listening, to talk about the ultimate solution to putting the 90-10 zone on autopilot. Once again, there's no just magic pill. We're going to talk about the pill. There's a pill you can take called Smart Fishing Spots. It literally shows you where to fish, but you need the foundation as well. Just like if you're trying to lose 30 pounds, there's pills you can take that will basically shred some weight pretty quick. You still need to have a foundation of eating a little bit better, right? And maybe working out and doing some exercise. You can't just rely on a pill and think it's going to go away and go away forever. You have to have both. So this presentation, we're going to talk about the pill, which is Smart Fishing Spots. We have it pulled up on the video now. And we're also going to talk about the foundation that we created for our insider members. This is why so many of our members' games have completely changed. I mean, life's altered. Like, I'm talking about like true transformations by putting these two things together. The two separately are good, but when you combine them together, it is unstoppable, and you will see your game skyrocket. And just imagine how good it's going to feel, right, to go out there and know where that 90-10 zone is without having to like guess every single time or hope and pray that your spot from last week or last month happens to produce again. So all that being said, it was a long intro, but it's important because this is the one thing holding most anglers back from consistent results. So, Luke, I know you're dying to say something after I went on a long montage there.
Yeah, that was a long one, but it was
You're
important.
welcome.
And the key here that we're going to start solving, the number one thing to think about, and we teach all the time, is that a spot is a spot, right? Spots are static. The fish move. So spots are great, but if you don't match the spot to the specific conditions at the given time you're fishing, if you don't do that properly, you're not going to consistently catch fish. But if you do that properly, if you tie the spots and focus on the conditions and match them together, knowing the fish's biology and all that, that's when you're going to be the one who's consistently catching fish, even when everybody else is having a tough day. You're going to be the one showing off some pictures. And the cool thing about this, it's not over here in Texas is one way, and then Florida Gulf Coast another, Atlantic coast and further Atlantic is different. It's all the same, right? We're going after redfish, sea trout, snook, flounder. All 4 of those species are ambush predators. They're all feeding on similar prey, and they all behave very similar as with current flow, as water changes. Their biology is relatively similar. They're going to react the same way when the temperature goes up, same when it goes down. So if you can know how these fish react under those conditions, you're going to be finding the fish quickly. And if you have this platform, as you'll see, this will really supercharge your ability to find those 90-10 zones, to really dive in. And as we go down to a lower level of information, you're going to be able to see, sometimes shockingly clearly, where those 90-10 zones are. And so that's really been the biggest factor. And and just helping our members catch a lot of fish. We have over 30,000 members, and almost, you know, a vast majority renew year over year because this platform flat out works. And so we'll show some demos. Joe, what do you think we should do first to kind of show some illustrations?
Yeah, well, let's go through smart fishing spots and, maybe pull up a couple areas and just kind of highlight the things that it does, right? From just even if you don't even use the smart spots feature, that's where it actually predicts the spots for you. Even just pulling up oyster bars or seagrass in your area, using the 3D underwater topography view or using the 4K satellite view. I mean, there's companies that are charging hundreds of dollars per region for this same 4K satellite view that we have, and we're giving it to all of our members for free. While you kind of think of an area to do this little dissection in, one thing that's been really neat is we have Pat Ogletree is one of our coaches, Salt Strong coach, and we always hear from people in Maryland and Virginia and the Carolinas and Texas and everywhere in between saying, "Oh yeah, I know that stuff might work in Florida or might work in Texas, but it doesn't work here in North Carolina, let's just say." And so Pat has literally been living out of an RV with his wife for many, many months now. And he started in Texas, at the very bottom of Texas, and fished all the way back to Florida. And he's been filming this entire thing, by the way. And guess what he's doing? He's using everything we're going to talk about today, the foundation, which is a couple of these courses that we built for our members, plus smart fishing spots. And the dude has been catching fish, in most cases, many slams, and crushing it. Every single spot that he stopped, he's been catching fish using what Luke just said, using the exact same trends, right? Based on what we're teaching here inside of our Insider Club. And now he started in Virginia. Now he's about halfway through North Carolina. He'll be in South Carolina, I think, in a week from now. And he's stopping along the way. He's fishing with members, and he's just proving, to Luke's point, that these same exact tactics, once you know the trends and you know how to pick good spots, aka put the 90-10 zone on autopilot, everything becomes easier, even in brand new states. I mean, he has never fished Virginia or North Carolina his entire life, and the dude is crushing it. Once again, he's documenting this whole thing and showing this exact spots that he's fishing, lessons learned, etc. It's been really, really fascinating. I'm thoroughly enjoying watching him do this and going out and catching fish in brand new spots where he's kind of having to start over fresh every single time. Once again, using this exact same platform plus the foundation, which is a couple of the courses we're going to talk about. So all that being said, I see you've got the map pulled up here. What are we looking at?
Yeah, so we're gonna show an example, and this is gonna be for those kind of medium to advanced anglers where you already know a lot of the tactics on the general area on where fish are going to be, whether you're closer to the Atlantic or Gulf or you're going further inland. This is a way to supercharge your ability to find the key structures. We know whether it's redfish, sea trout, snook, flounder, they're all ambush predators. They hold near structure, and so we need to find structure, ideally multiple forms of structure, whether it's oysters, seagrass, rocks, you name it. Any structure is good. Anything other than flat sand is good, and then the more the merrier. And so this is Google Maps. So we have multiple maps in this platform. So Google changed the game. For me, this is the biggest game changer. It started with MapQuest. I was one of the early adopters. It was a game changer. Now you have a bird's eye view of all your waterways, and you can actually see oyster bars and different things. Some maps are better than others. And so we now have multiple versions. And so with this one platform, you can go from this Google map, which for this area has some cloud cover, it looks kind of bad. We can click on Bing. So it automatically kicks over to Bing, which is better, right? In this case, you can see the seagrass, you can see the different channels, right? The different depth contours. And so you literally know, assuming you know trout behavior, this time of the year, trout are holding right on these outside edges of grass. So with 2 seconds, you can really pick out some really good spots. However, right, it's usually best to maximize your form of structure. From this high level view, we can see seagrass, we can see oysters. What we can't see are oysters all that well. So we went and built that in, and so now we have oyster beds loaded where I click this little oyster template, and you can see all this white area maximum, it just highlighted. That is game changer for areas like Tampa Bay. It finds some oysters, and if it's around seagrass and mangroves, the odds of there being redfish there are extremely high. right? That's like literally just targeting oysters. If you're in Tampa Bay and many other areas with seagrass, this alone has been an absolute game changer. This is brand new. This is something that I don't think any other platform has. We recently added it, and this has been I say a member favorite and absolute game changer. We now have it for, I believe it's all the states in the Southeast. We might be missing one or two, but it'll be added. So we have most of the Southeast, and again, it's all here. And this isn't just, this is like some legit detail. You can even zoom in to this little island. This is one that you really couldn't tell one way or the other without the oyster highlighted, but then click on it and this confirms, okay, yes, that is absolutely oysters. And so guess where those fish are probably going to be, right around these oyster beds. Really, really cool. And these almost like hit you in the face. It's that clear. It goes from, kind of having to guess at it, right? I'll turn it off. You can kind of see, like once you get good at maps, you can start to identify some areas that are probably going to have oysters, but this just makes it so much easier. You just click it and they pop out right in your face. Very, very helpful.
Autopilot. Hashtag autopilot.
Hashtag
this is all about shortcuts. This is all about giving anglers tools where you can click a button and see oyster beds. You can now see seagrass on here as well. That would be another way to, as Luke said, maximize the amount of different structures that you have in your area. And when you combine that, he hadn't even showed the smart spots, and that can just maybe confirm or deconfirm, right? What you were thinking. Really, really cool.
Yeah, and so another level that is not in other platforms is this high res satellite. So again, that Bing looked pretty cool, and now we've got some really high def imagery to see. I mean, you can see the potholes, you can see everything super clear. And so again, this is just another just added benefit of having everything in one spot. Everything's a couple of clicks away, and super helpful. So Joe mentioned something too. Actually, in this case, Bing is a little bit better. Bing is really good for this zone right now. In many cases, it's not just finding the spot, right? Obviously, almost in all cases, you need to think about other factors like wind direction, current flow, what season we're in, because in the wintertime, fish are holding in different areas than in the summertime. And it's because of their biological preferences that as water warms, there's less oxygen in the water, so fish need to find deeper, cooler water with more current flow, and then the winter is different. So with this, right, we always have the 90-10 in play. So with this, we know we want to find structure. We know oysters are great. We know oysters near mangroves with seagrass is great. So now we can basically weed out, a lot of this zone and just know that most of the action is probably going to be around these white spots. So then how to narrow it down even further, there's a lot here. This is a great fishing area. That's what a lot of people fish here. Some are going to be better than others, right? And so now we need to think about the current flow, which way's it going, which areas are getting hit by the current, which areas is not getting hit by the current. Same with wind, right? Which areas are having the wind push up against the shoreline, pushing bait up against shoreline, putting more water movement. All those factors are important, and that's what we cover in our courses for the Insider Club. It's called the Finding Spots Mastery. It goes through each season exactly how to prioritize those features. But we have a new automated way to get that type of information. It's called Smart Spots. And so what this does, this is like these maps on steroids, like the fish finding maps, that there's several out there. None of them go to this level of detail, where you actually specify the day and time that you're fishing, and the system will analyze that area and the conditions, the wind forecast, the weather, the tides for that area at that given time, and it'll kick out shaded areas. And let me get my computer slowing down a little bit. And so what that'll do, again, that'll just make sure that you can just quickly find the smart spots as quickly as possible. Where is it, puppy? I think I might have accidentally clicked it off. That's what I did. Got to have it clicked on. So all you have to do is just click this Smart Spots feature, and then we will see these puppies come up. Let me zoom out a little bit. Yeah, there we are. So sorry about the delay there. So what's that showing is based on the forecast at 5:00 p.m. on this given day, these zones are set up to have the most fish feeding in that area. So very, very cool. And then as that time changes, those zones will eventually go out. But let me kick this off. I think this Zoom is slowing down my whole computer, but pretty cool.
Dang, Zoom. Yeah, and so these smart spots are essentially following the fish around using a combination of artificial intelligence. As Luke said, we're bringing in all this data from weather to tides to wind direction, et cetera. And it's coming in like every 15 to 20 minutes. This is changing very, very often. So artificial intelligence combined with human intelligence, because we fish in a lot of these areas. We're actually picking spots. We have full-time coaches that are handpicking these spots based on their knowledge of either being there fishing themselves or just being able to go to maps and quickly read them and say, all right, these are going to be honey holes, like Pat's having to do right now, and then proving and backing it up with actually on the water experience. And it truly is amazing. There's nothing else like it. And those shaded areas are going to change from hour to hour, and then certainly completely change from season to season. Before too long, we'll be in fall and then winter, and those areas will completely shift, right? It'll go from a lot of hot spots being near the beaches and the inlets and the passes, and it'll start moving a little bit closer in, right? It'll start being more creek mouths, and in some areas going way up inshore as fish, some of them start going more offshore to spawn, and some are going way, way, way back into little creeks and deeper holes to stay warm. So really, really fascinating how all this changes. And as Luke said, all the old school spot maps and old ways of doing it are just that. They're flat out old. I mean, this is the newest, greatest way to give yourself like every absolute shortcut to find honey holes in your area. And so now what do you got? You pulled up the sonar. So we got the marine chart as well.
Yeah, so now we just moved up to different area. This is up in the Carolinas, and for again, just for seeing depth, this area, a lot of it, the satellite maps aren't quite as helpful, right? It's just the water is generally not going to be very clear. So here we have marine charts that'll show, the detailed depths. You can zoom in and look at the creeks. You can obviously see where the channels are. You can see which of these side creeks are deeper than others. So helpful information there. And then we have this new thing called shaded relief. And that's pretty cool too. This is one that we're just adding this area that's not all the way in. I should probably pick a different example for the high res. But what this does is gives the breakout, I would say an overview of the bottom, the contours. You can see where it's deep, where it's not. And on the areas where the high def is the high res is in effect, you can actually see like just crazy detail, like ships and stuff on the bottom, even rocks to go fish. Really, really cool. So here's an area with some high def way out. This is obviously deep, but pretty awesome. You can find nearshore reefs, nearshore wrecks, and then get the coordinates and really get out there and find them. Pretty awesome. And upload those coordinates.
So normally this is crystal clear on your phone or your computer. It's the combination of doing this on Wi-Fi and Zoom is so slow. Because this is bringing in who knows how many millions of different little pixels to get this. But I mean, you can see it as clear as day. You can see shipwrecks, you can see ledges, and you can see them even in right there inside of passes and inlets. I mean, it's crazy what you can see. And so, we personally are using this to go find some new offshore and nearshore fishing spots that have worked pretty amazing. And inshore too. I mean, Wyatt's even using them. Look at that ledge right there, dude.
So here's the area that's coming a little bit clearer. This is over. So I've been fishing this. So this is, you can see this legit ledge right out here. And then if I want to mark it, right, I can get a new route and then start putting in points and just follow the entire ledge down. And then I can upload this track into my GPS. I've already done it, so I don't need to do it again. And now I can see exactly where every one of these points are that I noted. So really, really
like
cool.
Crazy accurate. It is the exact GPS spot.
Yeah, it is. Oh, I guess I unshared it. Yeah, it is. It is just shockingly helpful. Sorry, that whole platform is slowing everything down here. But yeah, it's been just incredibly helpful, and it's still relatively new. So we're adding new features to it, really seems like a weekly basis. And it's really based on customer feedback. Members have been posting, hey, it'd be cool if we could do this. And then we go out and figure out how to make it work and add it to it. So,
yeah. And there's new spots being added daily. So there's, it is changing and getting smarter every single day. So that was just very brief overview of what that does. And that is the pill. Is we've been saying here, there's the pill and there's the foundation. So that is the pill Luke, let's talk about really the foundation, right? So if we compare this to weight loss, if you wanted to lose 30 pounds in a short amount of time, it's like if you want to become an expert angler and start catching fish consistently in a short amount of time, you got the pill. Smart Fishing Spots is definitely going to help you out, just like a pill might help you burn a lot of calories fast. But the foundation is going through the Finding Spots Mastery course, which you talked about. I don't know if you want to pull that up if you want to at
Yeah.
least look for it. And then we have another one called Positioning and Approach. This is something that no one is teaching out there. You can't learn this from a fishing magazine. You can't really learn it from a fishing show because let's be honest, it's a little bit boring. It's dry, right? How to position your boat or your kayak to an actual spot based on the wind, based on the current. No one is teaching that stuff, but it's critical. And we've been out with people who have, for the most part, been struggling to catch fish, and we know they're in a good spot just because they're telling us where they are and all the variables. Like, oh, man, there should be fish. Like, yeah, I'm seeing bait fish, and so many times the issue is how they're positioning their boat or their kayak, and even how they're approaching it. There's all these little nuances, and once you get them, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing it. Just the same as like, don't put gasoline on your hands right before you start tying your knots. A lot of people don't think about that. Don't smoke a cigarette before you tie your knots. That stuff literally can get stuck in the mono or fluoro line, and fish can actually smell that stuff underwater. We did a whole podcast on it. People are like, holy smokes, no wonder. I had no idea this stuff even really mattered. All these little things matter a lot when you combine them together in those two courses alone. And the people who go through it, our members who go through it, like, man, this, I get it. This is the foundation. This changes everything.
Yeah, so here is the homepage for members when logged in, and this really covers the 3 overall sections. So we have the premium education. This is where you just know how fish move and why they move. 'Cause in reality, people totally overestimate fish. They think they're really smart. They're not smart at all. All they're doing is reacting. They're reacting to their environment. And if you know how they're going to react to certain changes in the environment, you're going to put yourself in that 90-10 zone more consistently than anybody else. And so this premium education section goes through and it'll teach you that. So here you can kind of see an overview. It has weekly game plans. So just in case you don't have time to go through the courses, every Friday we get on a quick 10-minute video, and it looks at, we look at what's been happening lately, right? And then what the weather is forecasted to do for the upcoming weekend. And we put it all together for you. It really gives you the game plan on the types of spots to look for, how far inland you should be going, or if you should be going closer to the passes, inlets, and really just do it for you, right? It's the cliff notes, if you will. But then if you really want to get into it, and if you're really serious about getting better and consistent at finding the top feeding zones, we have these courses. The Finding Spots Mastery course, we've mentioned it several times. This is it. This is really what goes into the low-level details, but still makes it as simple as possible. We're not over complicating things. It just gives you basically the cheat sheet for every season, exactly what factors to prioritize and what factors to not worry about. Because in most cases, people worry about way too many things and just get super confused. And then the positioning and approach. This is huge.
Click it. We'll look at it real quick while we're here.
Yeah, we can go pop it up. And so positioning and approach, this covers me as a young buck there for the beard. This covers, just how to approach an area. A lot of people actually do get themselves into some pretty good spots, but they just totally blow it, and they blow out all the fish before they even see them, and definitely before they catch them, and not even know it. And a lot of it's just poor practices on approaching a spot. Do you go with the wind? Do you go against the wind? How do you position based on the current flow? And then what about when it's a crosswind versus the current, or vice versa? So this covers, again, it uncomplicates it, shows the specific situations, and then which in certain times, which factor to prioritize over the other when they're conflicting.
Yep. And then we actually get in the boat and kayak and show real examples of approaching and fishing an oyster bar, a row of docks, a beach, a point, a pass, all that stuff. Like I said, you go through those two things alone, and you're like, all right, I get this. I see why I'm not catching as many fish as I want to. And then the inshore fishing mastery is the third one. I would say that's the one, honestly, if you really want to go to the next level, go through it. It's got a few different coaches. We got Peter Deeks doing all the live bait stuff. We have Tony in the kayak and Luke in a skiff there, going through the different seasons and going through the favorite spots and their favorite rigs. It's really, really intense. But if you go through all three of those, you will know more than like 99% of all the weekend warriors out there. We have full-time guides that go through this, and they're like, man, I learned something new. This is really, really awesome stuff. So we're doing this for both non-insiders, obviously trying to recruit you to join the 35,000 others in our club, and also for a lot of members who haven't gone through this yet. Take the time to do it. If you ever have a afternoon off, or it's a rainy day and you got an hour to go through this stuff, you will be blown away with how helpful this is. And it's stuff you get to learn for life, right? It's stuff you can teach your kids and grandkids. That's the beauty of this. Is this is stuff that just keeps working over and over again. You continue to refine it and get better at it as you continue to fish.
Yeah, and this isn't like a one region thing, right? This has over 295 comments on it, so we listen to feedback. You know, I'm in here every single day. We're literally talking to inshore anglers across the entire Southeast every day, and we're consolidating all the best practices into this platform. So this isn't like it only works in one area. If you're going after redfish, sea trout, snook, flounder, this has the best practices for targeting those fish throughout the seasons, all here consolidated for you in the most efficient manner that's on the web. And that's why we have the crazy guarantee on it, because we know it works. And we just we know it's going to help you out, and we want to make sure that we put all the risk on us so that you basically get into it risk-free and just make sure it works, right? Make sure it works before it's all final. So we also have the community. We haven't really talked about that yet. That's where members, it's a private community where members post reports, where you can ask questions and get quick answers from coaches. In some cases, just show off some good fish. There's John catching a giant bass. So this isn't just saltwater. We have a little bit of everything. But again, very helpful to see local intel on exactly what's happening near you. You can go in here and just see, search by region, by species, interact with those we're posting. It's been really helpful as well.
Yep. So guys, that's really it. I mean, if you want to put the 90-10 zone on autopilot, save you a ton of time, save you a ton of gas, not having to pedal around or piddle around from spot to spot, just hoping and praying. This is it. I mean, this is what you've been looking for. And it does come, as Luke said, with a 365-day, 100% money back guarantee. That's how we wish companies treated us, right? If it doesn't work, then we don't want to keep your money. So give you a full year to try it out, go through everything. And of course, we have tackle discounts as well. That's an even easier way to justify everything, but it still comes to 27 cents a day. Can you save a quarter a day? I mean, my kids can do that, right? It's not that tough. That's all it costs. If you want to boil it down to week, what, $1.87 a week? Even if you just watch that 10-minute game plan, you will be armed and dangerous for that weekend. But if you do the pill, Smart Fishing Spots, and use that before every trip, and you combine it with that foundation, I'm telling you, you will be unstoppable. So that is a challenge for you current members. I know most of you have gone through that, but if you haven't, definitely do that as soon as possible. And if you're not a member yet, what the heck are you waiting on? Come join us now. I mean, we're right at 35,000 members. As Luke said, most everyone keeps renewing every year, just because it's become like a family too. It's really, really neat, the conversations that are going on. Even that guy, Pat, I mean, just last week had a meetup in North Carolina, and a bunch of anglers came, and everyone went out fishing. A few went out and had, beers afterwards. And so it's also meeting a bunch of friends and building new connections as well. Been really, really neat. We have a bunch of full-time guides in there who are also very helpful in sharing what's working in their area. It's just a really amazing community on top of all the shortcuts. So that's all at saltstrong.com. You can join there completely risk-free for a year. So saltstrong.com. And I hope to see you guys inside. If you have any questions, let us know down below. If you're watching it on YouTube, we'll obviously love any and all comments there, but we try to answer everything that comes on the blog. So the best place to leave a comment or question is saltstrong.com. There's a fishing tips section. You might already be there right now. And below the actual blog post where the video and the podcast is, you'll see a place to leave a comment, and that comes right to us. So we'd love to hear any questions, or if you ever have trouble even navigating Smart Fishing Spots. I know it's a lot. I mean, there's a ton of stuff in there. Just let us know. We'd love to help out.
Yeah, it has a lot of features we didn't even show. Like, it has, of course, it has all the tide information, and there's a whole platform called Smart Fishing Tides, and that just, again, next level detail where you can make sure that you're going to the right spot at the right time. And again, the whole platform, it's just been really rewarding seeing feedback from members about catching a new personal best or their first slam, and then just eventually getting better and better, many of which have actually gone on to even doing being a guide. So it's been really cool to meet a lot of great anglers and just watch them grow and the fish catching get better and better.
That's it. Guys, we appreciate you, and we will talk to you on the next episode. Saltstrong.com. Peace. We out.